Hello everyone and welcome to the YouTube channel of Sri Swaminarayan Physiotherapy College, Ahmedabad. I am Dr. Kamal Parvez Zaiwala and today I'll take you through the anatomy of low back. We all have gone through low back pain at least once in our lifetime and we all know how disabling this condition is. So in order to effectively assess, diagnose and treat low back pain, it is very important to know the structure of the lower back. So let us first understand our spine. Our spine constitutes of four curves, that is the cervical curve, the thoracic curve, the lumbar curve and the sacral curve. In the current video, we will be focusing on the structures in and around the lumbar curve. The lumbar spine consists of 5 lumbar vertebrae, namely from L1 to L5, and all of these vertebrae are stacked upon each other like a pile of coins. Each of these lumbar vertebrae is separated from each other with the intervertebral disc in between. These vertebrae are the only bony structure present in the lumbar spine, hence all the sturdiness of the lumbar spine occurs in and around this area and is provided by the lumbar vertebrae. It works basically like the steel bars present in the pillars. Now we come to the intervertebral disc. The intervertebral disc are the structures that are present between the two vertebral bodies. The intervertebral disc provide cushioning between the two vertebral bodies. To understand the structure of the intervertebral disc, we'll take a transverse section of the intervertebral disc and study it from the top view. The centermost and the core portion of the disc is known as the nucleus pulposus. This nucleus pulposus is a gelatinous material and it is enclosed by the annulus fibrosus in its surrounding. The annular bands of the annulus fibrosus is arranged in the form of concentric layers, and the outermost layer, which consists of the Sharpie fibers, is connected to the cartilaginous end plates. This specific pattern of the annular bands helps to resist the forces that are placed on the lumbar spine during different movements of the lumbar spine. So, in the structure of the lumbar spine, each lumbar vertebrae is placed one over the other, and the two adjacent lumbar vertebrae form a joint which is known as intervertebral joint or is known as the facet joint. Just anterior to the facet joint, there is a neural foramina. From this neural foramina exits the nerve root or that particular level. All these nerve roots together will form a lumbar plexus, and this lumbar plexus will supply the organs and the muscles of the pelvis as well as the lower limbs. Now coming to the ligaments of the lumbar spine. The ligaments of the lumbar spine are the non-contractile units of the lumbar spine, the non-contractile structures that are responsible for the stability of the back. If we study the ligaments of the lumbar spine from anterior to posterior, the most anterior ligament is the anterior longitudinal ligament that is just anterior to the vertebral body. Then comes posterior longitudinal ligament that is posterior to the vertebral body. Then comes a spinal canal in between, and then comes a vertebral arch. In the vertebral arch, between the two vertebral arches, there is ligamentum flavum, and as we go more laterally, there is intertransverse ligament between the two transverse processes. As we go a little bit more posterior, there are spinous processes. The ligament joining the two spinous processes are interspinous ligaments and the supraspinous ligaments. Coming a little anterior to it, there is facet joint, and the ligament which covers the facet joint capsule is known as facet capsulary ligament. All these ligaments are responsible for the stability of the lumbar spine. Now, as we know that the lumbar vertebrae are a stack of coins, the dynamic as well as the static stability to the spine is provided by the structure of the vertebrae and the ligaments and the muscles surrounding the lumbar spine. They play a very major role in the static as well as the dynamic stability of the lower back. Now, talking about the muscles surrounding the lumbar spine, there are two types of muscles surrounding the lumbar spine. One is the core muscle and the another one is the global muscles. The core muscles are the innermost layer muscles which are very nearer to the vertebral spine. These muscles are responsible for the stability of the lumbar spine, whereas the global muscles are the muscles of the outermost layer of the lumbar spine, and they are responsible majorly for the movement or the dynamic stability of the lumbar spine. These core muscles envelop the lumbar spine from all four directions. On the superior side there is diaphragm. On the inferior end there are muscles of the pelvic floor. On the anterior side there is transversus abdominis muscle, and on the posterior side there is multifidus muscle. The fibers of the transversus abdominis muscle runs across horizontally on the anterior side of the abdomen, whereas the fibers of the multifidus muscle are segmental and they provide segmental stability to the lumbar spine. It is very important for all these four muscles to work in sync in order to provide dynamic as well as static stability to the lumbar spine. The diaphragm and the muscles of pelvic floor also play a very important role in regulating the breathing, in regulating the intra-abdominal pressure, as well as to support the organs of the pelvis and the abdomen. Now coming to the global muscles. The global muscles form the outermost layer of the back and the abdomen. These muscles are responsible for the movement as well as the dynamic stability of the back. It is very important to know the orientation of the muscle fibers of these muscles in order to understand their action properly on the back. The centermost muscle in the abdomen includes rectus abdominis. The orientation of the fibers of rectus abdominis is vertical, and then there is internal oblique and external oblique. The orientation of internal and external oblique are both in diagonal directions. Hence, they are responsible for flexion as well as the rotation movement, whereas rectus abdominis is responsible for the flexion. Previously were the global muscles placed anteriorly. Now we'll be studying about the global muscles present on the posterior side of the back. The major global muscles of the back are iliocostalis thoracis, longissimus thoracis, and iliocostalis lumborum. All these three muscles together form the erector spinae. These three muscles are responsible majorly for the extension of the back. There are two segmental muscles present as global muscles of the back, and they are intertransversi and interspinalis muscles. These two are also equally responsible for the extension of the back and for the segmental stability of the lumbar spine. Now coming to the quadratus lumborum muscle. The fibers of the quadratus lumborum muscle are diagonally arranged. The origin of the quadratus lumborum is from the spine of the iliac crest, and it goes and inserts into the lower rib cage and the transverse processes of the upper lumbar spine. So the contraction of the quadratus lumborum is responsible for the rotation of the back as well as for the lateral flexion of the back. When the origin of the quadratus lumborum moves, it causes hiking of the pelvis on one side. It is very important to study and understand the anatomy of the lumbar spine and the spinal pathologies to effectively treat and manage low back pain. So, my upcoming video will be on spinal pathologies. Thank you for watching this video, and to get regular updates, kindly like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.